Do 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 do. Okay, so why is this not? Oh. So my strike has expired. Yeah, so I had a strike put on my channel, so that's why I haven't been uploading anything. I'm still planning on getting another YouTube account eventually. I'm still shopping around for something that is a reasonable price, that has a decent number of subs, so I can turn on monetization. But I saw that, Daft Signs, aka Gary Mosier, aka In Bedlam, the guy who humped Christina Rad's leg once, the feminist, the internet feminist who claims that he would throw a pregnant woman down a staircase if he ever impregnated her, or the semen fairy impregnates her, has made a new video on YouTube. So apparently, because we all know that Gary Mosier is a man of principle. And he has he's so honest and has so much integrity that we knew that his abstaining from posting on YouTube would last only so long before he started making full-length videos again. Now, let me ask you this. What has Gary done for Amanda and her channel being taken down? Well, he refrained from uploading videos for about a month, or whatever it was. And that's about it. That's pretty much all he's done. So he's such a great friend of Amanda. That he's so supportive that he literally did nothing, to support her channel or his channel or whatever. That's the other thing too. A lot of people in Bedlam community are trans, but then when they make videos, they never refer to themselves as trans, because Gary's such a transphobe that it causes cognitive dissonance. So I'm never really sure. It's not my fault, because they don't actually, Amanda's never actually said, I am trans. This is, you should refer to me as him, he, his pronouns. And the reason for that is because, if Amanda did that, it would cause a lot of cognitive dissonance, because Amanda supports Gary. And Gary first of all, he's a bigot in many, many ways. He's a bigot. He's a racist. He's a misogynist. He's a misandrist. He doesn't, he's a xenophobe. In this video, he actually, I think he said something about, he said something like, ew, foreigners, ew, and how he hates this planet and all that stuff. It's like, fuck you. Anyway, yeah, so he doesn't give a shit about Amanda's channel being taken down, obviously. He's a lazy piece of shit. And the other thing, too, is, he calls Simon Dan a coward, from his cellar, from his basement cellar, because Simon Dan, Simon Dan, whoever he is, I don't know. I don't know what his profession. I don't know if he's like a professional YouTuber. I don't know if he actually is a science teacher regularly. I don't know if he has a PhD or not. I have no idea. But he's actually, he seems to know a thing or two about physics. He obviously went out into the world and got an education in physics, and he probably did some of these experiments that Gary is calling fake in this video. Personally did all the measurements. Like the kinematic experiment that Walter Lewin does, and that hundreds of thousands of college students do every year, internationally. It's like he likes to call people kooks and conspiracy theorists because of apparently to him, according to him, these are his words, flat earthers are crazy not because we can actually do experiments that prove the earth is round, not because we have photographs from the moon showing the earth. No, they're not crazy for any of those reasons. The reason that flat earthers are crazy, and therefore subject to Gary Mosher's, his Mosher's scorn and ridicule, because it's only okay when his Mosher, beats up on quote-unquote retards and cripples. He said it's okay for him. It's not okay for Simon. It's not okay when Simon Dan does it, but it's okay for his Mosher to do it. So, his Mosher, we'll do that. So So the reason why they're crazy, flat earthers. I will get to my point eventually. The reason why his Mosher is claims that they are crazy. It's not because of the fact we have photographs from space. Not because if you look at a ship on the horizon, you can actually see the curvature. No, it's not for any of those reasons. It's only because flat earthers would have to accept the reality of a massive conspiracy theory by not just scientists, not by just geologists and engineers, but just everybody, airline pilots, etc. They would all have to be conspiring to hide the shape of the earth. And that's absurd because why? First of all, why would they do that? Why would they conspire to hide the shape of the earth? And secondly, if they did, so supposing ad argumentum that they did, why wouldn't one of those millions and billions of people step forward and say, hey, here's some evidence that proves that there's this massive conspiracy theory, and I just thought you guys should know about it. And according to Gary, according to his Mosher, that's wrong. That's absurd. And the fact that nobody has done those things, nobody has stepped forward and said, oh, by the way, we're hiding, all scientists everywhere are hiding the shape of the earth. That proves that there's not a conspiracy. The idea is that I think it was Gary Spence, or maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Some attorney said somewhere, or maybe it was I think it was Gary Spence. 3 people. He said, I will stipulate that 3 people can keep a secret, but only if 2 are dead. Okay, and especially if the secret is a massive conspiracy, akin to we faking the moon landing, or killing John Kennedy, or if you want to go really absurd, hiding the shape of the Earth. So that's Gary Mosher's argument. Now he seems to not realize that this exact same argument applies to his batshit insane fucking bullshit that Walter Lewin's experiment, which he performs with a table that was developed to be mass produced and distributed to universities, not just at MIT, but around the world, was somehow faked. By the way, the table that he uses, or the tracks that he uses, the magnet tracks, or the maglev, whatever you call it. This track was designed to do this exact experiment. Like it was literally mass produced just to do this fucking experiment. And then in this video, his Mosier, by the way, let me just back up for a minute. Okay, this is crazy bullshit. This is the reason why I even follow this channel at all, because there's lots of crazy science channels out there. Some of them have interest in me, some of them don't. I guess the reason why is because I used to be an Inmendum fan. I used to support his channel, his Inmendum channel, for about 6 months, and and I did have some interaction in the comment section, and I thought, well, he's not stupid. He does seem to, and sometimes he makes good arguments. But it's like, I feel like this is so beneath him. And the people who follow him are just... I mean, there's just... If this is like an average sample of humanity, there's no hope for humanity. By the way, so Simon Dan responding. Thankfully, there's 11 thumbs up here. But this has 30 thumbs up. How come we can't see responses to this? Hang on a second. I mean, you just go to, okay, so Simon Dan responded. There's some great comments here. But it's like the people defending Gary, they seem to be like stuck up, or they seem to be hung up on this idea that if you're not willing to, subject yourself to an hour of of his Mosier, calling you pedophile publicly, and accusing you personally of lying and faking results of experiments, and that somehow means that you don't have an argument, and you're not willing to stand up for your argument, and therefore your argument is wrong, or therefore your belief is wrong. There's no logic to that. It's like, if somebody, let's say this is like Gary wants to say that because I offer $2,000 or $1,700 or whatever the fuck it is to for a physics channel to with, I don't know, whatever his insane stipulations are. They have to have over 100,000 subs. Whatever it is, the fact that nobody first of all, it's not like he's going out and advertising and, on a massive scale. He has this stupid website that, according to him, out of his own mouth, nobody is able to visit because Google is hiding his website in search results so nobody can search for it. He also claims that nobody is able to search for his channel if they type in certain keywords. So Google is actively working to hide his channel and hide his content. So he thinks that. Okay, please try to follow me. But then he turns around and says, "Oh, well, the fact that Sean Carroll, who, by the way, probably receives 100 emails before breakfast from people claiming that they have squared the circle, that they've created a perpetual motion machine, that kinetic energy doesn't work, hasn't personally taken up his offer to debate for an hour or whatever, in exchange for the massive sum of $1,700. That proves that Sean Carroll is a liar and a charlatan. Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't, on the one hand, say that, and not just Sean Carroll, but the fact that no scientist out there will take him up on his challenge, or no YouTube channel, popular science YouTube channel will take him up on his offer. He touts that as evidence of a conspiracy to hide things like the fact that this kinematic experiment is faked. But he's talking on both sides of his snake oil salesman mouth when he says that, because on the one hand he wants us to believe that his results are being censored and nobody can find his website, and on the other hand he says, hey, I'm broadcasting to the world, hey, come take my $1,700, half of which isn't even his, half of it is promised or pledged by his followers, who probably can't figure out how to cook an egg or tie their shoelaces or do anything. They have $1,700. Yeah, right. Okay. Oh, by the way, that's a scam too. I think so. If they pledge money to him, he's just going to take it, and then he's not going to pay the person because they broke some kind of rule. Do you think he's going to return the money to his dumb followers? Hell no. That's the kind of person he is. He never paid Stephen Bruff the $50 he's entitled to. And then when you bring that up, he blocks you and calls you names and says, blah, 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 and Stephen didn't do it properly. You see, that's actually the scam that he's running, is that if he ever did get to sit down with a physicist, he would eventually call him a pedophile, and then the physicist would leave, and then he'd say, well, he only stayed for 49 and a half minutes, so, we can't do that. I'm not going to pay him anything. And then he probably would just pocket the money. Probably. I don't know that for a fact, but he probably would. But yeah, he thinks that that's evidence that this is in fact a conspiracy, and that nobody has an argument. Well, think of it like this. Gary Mosier. Think about it like this. And you, since you're a feminist, and since you had 3 sisters, and you care about all of them, or cared about all of them, especially when, well, whatever. I'm not even gonna go into that. He probably will understand where I'm coming from with this example. If you are a incel who lives in a cellar, and you're 65 years old, and you have hair that looks like, you have crazy hair, and you wear 5 shirts. And let's say that a YouTuber named, I don't know, Christine, I'll just make up names, so these names are all fictitious for our purposes, but let's say a YouTuber named Christina Rad came to your house. You would not expect to just here's $2,000, I'll just wave money at you, and then you can have sex with this Neanderthal-looking thing here. That is not reasonable. Okay, and you could say, well, it's $2,000. Who doesn't want $2,000? It doesn't work like that. What you're doing when you're asking these people to subject themselves to an hour of your quote-unquote interrogation in exchange for $2,000, it's very similar to that. It's similar to saying it's like saying, well, you're a prostitute, and so therefore I can just wave money at you, and because who doesn't want $2,000? If they refuse, that must mean they don't have an argument, or they don't have good reasons for believing what they believe. No, not really. It could just be that waving money at people is kind of like waving money at a woman and saying, "Sleep with me. Here's $200." What, you don't need $200? How much do you make at your job? No, it's because they're not prostitutes. Their job isn't to debunk you. You self-centered, egotistical piece of shit. That's not their job. You know, just like Christina Rad's not a prostitute. You can't just wave money at her and expect her to sleep with you. The working physicists with research positions at universities, and even people who make popular YouTube videos, their job is not to debunk you, to go out of their way to debunk you. Now, maybe if you offered them $1 million or $2 million, they might have a price. You don't know. But the fact that they won't take you up for your $2,000 offer, which it turns out it's not even $2,000, $1,700, doesn't mean shit. Dipshit. So, hopefully you understand. I mean, it's not that fucking complicated. He mischaracterizes the kinetic energy formula. He does an example with a lever. I don't know if where that, maybe he did that in the other video, but if you actually did the math, and you'd realize that in the lever example there is extra energy, and we don't know where we don't know where that energy goes. It could be vibrational energy, it could be in the form of heat, but that's something that this theory predicts. And then you could go out and test whether or not it in fact does that. But Gary just says, oh no, it just, here, I drew a drawing of a teeter-totter, so therefore this is what happens. And it's like, and the other thing too, if you actually did that in real life, yeah, you would have vibrational energy that would go into the system, or you would, or the momentum would add up to the same momentum, because the object that the teeter-totter is sitting on would move, or like the bigger ball would keep moving. I'm not going to go through it because, by the way, I'm not going to like debunk any more of his bullshit, because that's like doing free work for him. I'm not going to do that. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting that he's back to making videos. By the way, if you know, Rocketdyne has a, they used to use, I assume they still do, a massive, it's a computer program that they use to build rocket engines. Now, this is intellectual property that they own. Okay, so it's not like you can go on the internet and go search for it and then test it. Okay, but think about how crazy it would be for them to create this model, this program, and then they somehow secretly they know that the kinetic energy and the momentum formulas don't work together, but they don't use that to their advantage in a competitive marketplace. They somehow keep it a secret and just go shh. But then all the other, Lockheed Martin, all the other companies do the same thing. And then all these students millions of students, millions of students go through, get master's degrees, and then they go to work at Rocketdyne and they go, oh wait, you mean the kinetic energy formula doesn't work? I mean, it's so stupid. And then these people, they think that he has some kind of argument. This is why the education in this country sucks, and I assume it sucks everywhere too, like not just in our country, in my country. But it's like this idiot. How are people so dumb? How do they have such poor thought processes? that they can't figure this out. What kind of a massive conspiracy would it be that the kinetic energy and the momentum formulas are somehow mutually contradictory, and you can't have both at the same time? How is that possible? If you know, it would. I mean, it would require a flat Earth level conspiracy theory, and you know, Gary, you're a fucking hypocrite. You, every single video you do, you just shit on your audience, you shit on commenters, you shit on the very few people who are willing to, who want to debate you and take cheap shots at them. And then you complain about Simon and Dan beating up on people, like being rude and saying mean things about people. I mean, really? You know, this, didn't he hump someone's leg, like Christina's leg, too? I think I remember that. But he didn't show it. Like his video is like from the waist up, and then he's like humping her leg. And then he talks about Walter Lewin, like, you know, Walter Lewin is a creep. Well, yeah, he is a creep. It takes one to know one. Doesn't it? You would know about that, wouldn't you? All right. Yeah, so I don't really have anything to talk about other than that. I really, yeah, this channel is I'm gonna stop posting this channel when I get a real YouTube channel. Okay, so everybody just